This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for the last week. Happy 4th of July from everyone here at local Yocal Idaho. I pray you're having a wonderful Independence Day with your family and having plenty of good food and fellowship. I know I am most certainly looking forward to this because I'm recording this a little bit early. But keeping with that theme, in this week's report, we'll be giving a report on the In-N-Out that got canceled in eastern Idaho, then two Supreme Court decisions that have some ties back here with Idaho because the Supreme Court has been a little busy there. And then some updates on what Ada County has been up to, because there's been a lot, plus some fun summer news towards the end. So stick with us here as we go through the report. So starting off with our first story here, Twin Falls denies In-N-Out permit over traffic concerns. This comes by several sources. In-N-Out's Burgers' plans to open a location in Twin Falls, Idaho, have been halted after the city's Planning and Zoning Commission denied their special use permit application. The proposed site, which would have replaced the existing Outback Steakhouse near the Fillmore Street roundabout, faced significant opposition due to concerns about traffic congestion. The commission voted 5-2 against the permit, citing potential traffic hazards and the impact on nearby Perrine Bridge and Visitor Center. While many residents expressed enthusiasm, obviously, for the In-N-Out coming to Twin Falls, they questioned the suitability of the chosen location. The proposed 3,884 square foot restaurant would have included parking for about 46 vehicles and a drive-through capable of stacking about 29 cars. However, the commissioners and residents worried about the high volume of consumers and how it could overwhelm the already busy intersection, which sees around 40,000 vehicles daily. Now, moving forward, In-N-Out has the option to appeal the decision or propose an alternative location that addresses the traffic concerns, but we'll have to see what the City Council does and what In-N-Out decides to take with this. And speaking of two stories, we just talked about In-N-Out, which was a big story, and this one was also a big one recently about fall of last year. Quagga mussel prevention efforts intensify in the Mid-Snake River. This comes by Idaho 6 News by staff. The ongoing fight against the quagga mussels in the Twin Falls area continues with an intensified prevention efforts. Water access from the Pillars Falls to Twin Falls Dam remains closed indefinitely following the discovery of an adult mussel near the Shoshone Falls Pool. This closure is crucial to the Idaho State Department of Agriculture, or ISDA's, Rapid Response Plan. Access between Broken Bridge and Pillar Falls is limited to Centennial Park operating hours, with mandatory inspections and decontaminations for all watercraft and conveyances. The ISD has established a free inspection and decontamination station at Centennial Water Park, operating from about 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., weather permitting, of course. The ISDA plans to double quagga mussel sampling efforts across the Idaho this season, focusing on the Mid-Snake River. These measures aim to protect Idaho's water resources with significant threats posed by the quagga mussels to drinking water, energy, agriculture, and recreation, and all the other amazing things that water agriculture here in Idaho and the dams are part of that they're threatening there. And keeping with the theme of Eastern Idaho, Baker's Dozen expands. Idaho Falls Bakery opens Rexburg location. This comes by the East Idaho News by Rhett Nelson. Baker's Dozen, an iconic bakery in Idaho Falls, is set to open its second location in Rexburg next month. The new shop will occupy the former Paradise Donuts and Gelato space at 16 South Center Street, continuing the legacy of sweet treats in the college town. Co-owner Alexis Newman and Jake Johnson, who acquired the Baker's Dozen in 2022, are excited about this expansion and opportunity. The Rexburg location will feature the full Idaho Falls menu plus some new items, catering to the college town atmosphere. The expansion comes after Paradise Donut closed, with its owners reaching out to Baker's Dozen after taking over the space. This move not only preserves the local donut shop for Rexburg residents, but also allows Baker's Dozens to grow its brand. While an exact opening date is yet to be determined, the owners are aiming for a July launch. They've expressed gratitude for the warm reception in Idaho Falls and look forward to receiving the Rexburg community with their beloved donuts and tasty pastries. And speaking of an institution that has been very much on the news lately, the Supreme Court. We'll be looking at the Supreme Court's decision on homeless encampments. This comes by several sources. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that cities can't enforce bans on homeless encampments. In a 6-3 decision, the court determined that the laws regulating camping on public property do not violate the constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. This ruling overturning previous decisions that prevented cities from penalizing people for sleeping outdoors when no alternative were available. The case originating in Grant Pass, Oregon, where the city has been fining people for sleeping in public spaces. Local governments may now have greater authority to regulate where and how people can camp in public areas. Local governments may now have a greater authority to regulate where and how people can camp in public areas. However, Boise Mayor Lauren McLean stated that the city's approach won't change, emphasizing continued investment in supportive housing and services. This ruling gives Idaho municipalities more options, and some may need to reassess their policies and strategies in light of this new decision. Which, if you liked hearing about those stories and are enjoying the midweek report thus far, please hit the like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. It helps us reach more folks who love Idaho just like you. And keeping with the Supreme Court here, Supreme Court's handling on Idaho's abortion law. This comes by the Gem State Chronicle by Brian Allman. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to rule on whether Idaho's Defense of Life Act violates the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, or EMTALA, instead returning the case to a lower court. This decision neither fully supports pro-life activists nor pro-abortion advocates, but postpones the question of federal law suspending state abortion bans post-Dobbs. Idaho's law, which bans abortion except for in cases of rape, incest, and threat to the mother's life, potentially conflicts with the federal government's interpretation of EMTALA. The District Court of Idaho has previously issued an injunction against the Defense of Life Act in an emergency medical situations. Attorney General Rao Labrador views the decision positively, noting that Idaho can enforce its law in most circumstances while the case proceeds. Pro-life groups remain optimistic, while Planned Parenthood expressed disappointment about the decision. The case's return to the lower courts suggests this issue will likely come before the Supreme Court again in the future. But for now, the majority of abortions remain illegal in Idaho, maintaining the state's stance on protecting unborn lives. And keeping with the theme of politics and bringing it back to Idaho, but up north anyways, Coeur d'Alene City Council proposes new hate crime ordinance. This comes by the Coeur d'Alene/Post Falls Press by Bill Bewley. The Coeur d'Alene City Council is set to consider adding a new hate crimes chapter to its municipal code, aiming to combat racial incidents. The proposed ordinance would create a separate offense for crimes motivated by a victim's race, color, religion, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, or national origin. As some can guess, this comes in response to two reported racial incidences earlier in 2024, including one involving the University of Idaho women's basketball team and another involving children from the Coeur d'Alene tribe. The new ordinance would allow for enhanced penalties, including local leaders, including Mayor Jim Hammond and Coeur d'Alene tribe Chairman Chief Allen, support the measure as a critical step in fighting racism and discrimination. The City Council will discuss the proposed ordinance at their upcoming meeting, with some arguing it is a necessary action to affirm Coeur d'Alene's commitment to human rights and dignity for all, while others raising concerns about the legality and how it may be infringing on Second Amendment rights. And keeping with city councils here, we come back down to the valley. Ada County bans fireworks in unincorporated areas for 4th of July. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Ada County has once again implemented its annual fireworks ban in the unincorporated areas as the 4th of July approaches. This ban, approved by the Ada County Commissioners for approximately 22 years, applies to areas outside the city limits of Boise, Eagle, Garden City, Kuna, Meridian, and Star. The ban serves as a preventative measure against wildfires, particularly given the dry weather conditions that make the region susceptible to fires this time of year. It's important to note that about 80% of the wildfires in Idaho are caused by human activity, according to the Idaho Department of Lands. Residents in unincorporated Ada County should be aware that violating this ban could result in misdemeanor charges. Those planning 4th of July festivities are encouraged to check an interactive map of the 2024 fireworks ban area and consider alternative ways to celebrate that don't pose fire risks to the general area. And keeping with Ada County here, new Ada County budget, tax increases, and employee additions. This comes by the Boise Deb by Margaret Carmel. Ada County's new budget proposal includes a 1.8% property tax increase, lower than the maximum 3% allowed under state law. This increase, combined with a $35 million from the fund balance, aims to address the growth needs and deal with the effects of inflation while without hopefully overburdening taxpayers. The budget allows for over a dozen new positions in the sheriff's office and additions to other departments. For a medium home value of about $446,800, the tax increase will be about $6.83 next year. Employee raises will be given through a combination of a 1.5% cost of living adjustment and a 2.5% merit-based increase. The total budget, including special tax districts, is set at $390 million. While the budget addresses immediate needs, questions remain about the future funding for the major projects like the jail expansion, which it lost its levy fund in that vote. The public presentation of the budget is scheduled for July 30th, with official adoption to follow. This increase is smaller than those proposed by Boise and Meridian, which are considered the full 3% increase plus some foregone taxes. So something to be aware of if you live over there in Ada County. Which, if you've enjoyed the stories we've been reporting on or haven't even heard about them at all, please consider sharing it so we can spread the word about all these stories to other people who love Idaho just like you. And speaking of government bureaucracy getting all hung up, Idaho DMV reverts to paper tests amid digital outages. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. The Idaho Division of Motor Vehicles, or DMV, announced a temporary return to paper-based driver's knowledge tests due to intermediate outages of their digital testing stations. This decision affects new drivers and residents taking the written portion of the driving test. The issue, which is affecting several states stemming from problems with the touchscreen computer stations provided by third-party vendors. In response, the DMV created paper tests on May 29th as a backup solution. Though implementation is at the discretion of each driver's license office, DMV Administrator Lisa McClellan emphasized the reliability of paper tests, stating, "While paper tests may be old school, they are reliable. We'll do whatever we can to provide continuity of services to our customers," end quote. The vendor has acknowledged the problem and is working on an architectural change to resolve the service interruptions. Meanwhile, the DMV's swift action ensures that Idahoans can continue to take their driver knowledge tests without significant delays. And then moving a little bit more west in the valley and keeping with city council stuff, Nampa City Council considers southwest expansion plans. This comes by the Boise Dev by Aaron Banks Rusby. Nampa city officials are planning for growth in the southwest portion of the Sirius area of impact, covering about 1,600 acres. The proposed Southwest Nampa specific area plan aims to provide future development in this region. So, some of the key features of the plans include changing residential mixed-use areas to medium-density residential, establishing community mixed-use zones for retail and commercial development, and creating a network of walking and bike paths. Public feedback has been mixed on this one, with about 74% of survey respondents disapproving of the proposed land use designations. Concerns include protecting farmland, managing congestion, and preserving wildlife habitats. However, many landowners in the area are considering the development, with 89% of the land either in the development process or under consideration for sale. The city is working on a draft plan for July, with potential adoption by the city council in September or October. Collaboration with Ada County is ongoing to ensure a coordinated development in the area of impact before annexation. Collaboration with Ada County is ongoing to ensure that it is coordinated with the development in the area of impact before annexation. So if you're interested in that, you might want to go to your city councils or at least call up that way to see how things are progressing. And coming to one of our last city and politics type of one, I know there was a bunch there, but they're relevant and they're good to know about. Idaho's death row, why the long road to sentence to execution. This comes to East Idaho News by Nate Eaton. With the recent death sentence of Chad Daybell in Idaho, highlights the lengthy process between sentencing and execution in the state. With 9 inmates currently on death row, including one sentenced 41 years ago, execution in Idaho are rare and take decades to carry out. Now you might be asking, why so? Well, the primary reason for these delays is a complex series of appeals. L. Lamont Anderson, chief of the Idaho Attorney General's Office Capital Legislation Unit, explains that the process includes automatic review by the Idaho Supreme Court, post-conviction relief, and potential appeals to federal courts and the U.S. Supreme Court. This multi-layered appeal process can span years or even decades, as seen with Thomas Creech, who has been on death row since 1983. While some argue that the process is too long, Anderson emphasized the importance of thoroughness, stating that, quote, "We don't want to be in a situation to be the first state in the union to execute a truly innocent man or individual," end quote. And speaking of things that take time, historic John C. Rice House on the move in Caldwell. This comes by the Boise Dev by Aaron Banks Rusby. Over in Caldwell, a unique spectacle happened as the historic John Rice House, a 130-year-old landmark, was moved to its new location. The Caldwell Housing Authority relocated the house from the College of Idaho campus to 321 North Kimball Avenue on July 8th and 9th. Built in 1895 by former Caldwell Mayor and Idaho Supreme Court Justice John C. Rice, the house is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. The Housing Authority aims to renovate it into 5 affordable housing apartments, primarily for first responders, teachers, and healthcare workers. The move, costing an estimated $1.2 million, took the house through several city streets, causing temporary power outages along the route because they had to cut some cables there. Now that it is at its new location, the house will be transformed into a 3-story building, including a public coffee shop in the middle floor. Which, if you don't want to miss any of our future updates about news going on in Idaho or the next midweek report, please make sure to subscribe or follow us so you don't miss any of our future content. And transitioning to the end of the report here and some fun stuff, and moving up north specifically, North Idaho's first paintball course opens in Sagle. This comes by the Bonner County Daily Bee by staff. Sagle is now home to 7B Paintball, the area's first paintball and airsoft course. Open 7 days a week, the new attraction offers a variety of experiences for kids, adults, and families in the Bonner County and surrounding areas. Located at 56 Hidden Creek Road, 7B Paintball provides rentals for both low impact and regular paintball, as well as gel blasters and airsoft equipment. Looks fun. The course features a real diverse of different objects and courses that you can do there. They include an RV there. They have a pallet barrier that you can go behind, and also a buried car, creating a lot of interesting different spots you can do while you're playing there. With that said, safety is top priority with strict rules enforced, including mandatory goggle use and prohibition on blind shooting. The facility is emphasizing fun and sportsmanship, banning verbal abuse and unsportsmanlike conduct. Owner Dakota Morgan aims to provide a safe and enjoyable environment for all participants. Military members, veterans, and first responders are offered discounts. With its unique offerings and focus on community engagement, 7B Paintball is set to become a popular recreational destination in northern Idaho. And then staying with the fun theme and coming back down the valley, don't worry, we haven't forgot about you. There's tons of fun stuff to do in the valley here. Summer fun at Bogus Basin, from biking to high rope challenges. This comes from the Idaho 6 News by Stephen Dent. Bogus Basin has kicked off its summer operations, offering a variety of activities for all ages and interests. The mountain resort, typically about 15 degrees cooler than the valley, provides a refreshing escape from the summer heat. I can fully attest to this. It's great to go up there to go hiking or stay away from the heat. Some of the new attractions include the Basin Gravity Bike Park and Glade Run Mountain Coaster. However, the highlight is the Mineshaft Challenge course, a 55-foot tall high rope course with 3 levels of increasing difficulty. For those seeking a less adrenaline-pumping activities, like myself, Bogus Basin also offers music events and some very scenic hiking trails, which I will attest are very nice to go on. The Around the Mountain Trail is particularly affected by lift replacements, but most summer activities remain unaffected. While there are no new additions this summer due to the ongoing ski lift replacement, the resort continues to provide a nice range of different activities you can do up there, from family activities to thrill-seeking adventures like the mountain biking and other challenging courses. Bogus Basin is definitely a wonderful getaway throughout the summer if you just want to cool off. And coming to our last story here, DK Donuts expands to Nampa and is keeping its Boise location open. This comes by the Boise Dev by Signe Kidd. Contrary to recent rumors on social media and stuff, DK Donuts is not closing its State Street location in Boise. Instead, the beloved donut shop is expanding its presence in the Treasure Valley. Owner Ankara Long has clarified that while they are opening a second location in Nampa, the original Boise shop will remain open. In fact, DK Donuts is finalizing a new 10-year lease for the State Street location and plans to renovate the building, including fixing the parking lot and replacing the roof. The Nampa location, set to open in October, will be on 12th Avenue and 2nd Street, across from the Hong Kong restaurant. This expansion marks a new chapter for the Boise staple, which has attracted both local fans and out-of-state visitors. With all that said, they have expressed excitement about bringing their popular donut to Nampa while maintaining their presence in Boise. And that wraps us up here. Thank you for listening to the entire report. I sincerely hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you like the Midweek Report, make sure to check out the Sunday show where John and I talk about all the main stories going on in Idaho and dive a little deeper into them. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email at lyimedia@protonmail.com or on Twitter by tweeting us at @localyocalidaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and important stories. Thank you for your continued assistance. That's all for now, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.